Winter is really making its presence known as we have multiple blasts of colder air moving across the central and eastern US. We've got anything from snow all the way in the south. We got a northeast storm to talk about, as well as some very bitter cold air coming. So let's dive into it with everything you need to know for this week in the world of weather. Taking a quick look at the temperature anomalies, here is the current Arctic air mass. By the time you're watching this video on Sunday or Monday, much of the central and eastern US is feeling this. Some of these purple colors here, that's temperatures as low as 20 to 30 degrees below average. The cold will really be peaking tonight into tomorrow morning, especially across portions of the southeast and the east. We'll have a slight modification of temperatures before another cold blast comes in as we head into midweek. This is Tuesday. We can see all of this cold air along the central and eastern US, and again these pockets of purple. That's some pretty cold weather for this time of the year in winter, and definitely something we want to be mindful of. Looking at actual temperatures, what that could look like Sunday morning, waking up out the door, notice the freezing temperatures go all the way down south. So Texas, well down to Austin, San Antonio, you'll be into the freezing, but even along the southeast, Alabama, Mississippi, and then up to the north, that's where the bitterly cold air is. Air temperatures of 1 to 0, even below 0 degrees Sunday morning in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Chicago. You'll be waking up in the single digits to teens Sunday morning. Going through the day Sunday, there won't be much of a warm up for much of the north. We're going to stay cold in the teens and 20s all day. The south will warm into the 30s and 40s, so slightly better. Monday morning though, look at the cold air just oozing into Minnesota, Wisconsin, -10 to -15 degree air temperatures, but combine that with the gusty winds, wind chill values will be 20 degrees colder, -30 to -40. So this is bitterly dangerously cold air for you up there in Minneapolis, even further north toward Duluth. So make sure you have all the heavy parkas and just try to limit your time outside for this very cold air. And you can see as we go on the day Monday, some spots will stay at or below 0 all day on Monday in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So it's a piece of the Arctic. Even Chicago, y'all will be staying very cold in the single digits most of your day on Monday. And then further south, we'll get some 30s, 40s, and 50s, but it's really the north. That's where the core of this bitterly cold air mass is going to be. So we have the cold air mass in place. What we also have is a little storm system riding near and over the cold air mass, and that is going to allow for some snow in some spots that don't usually see it. We're tracking this piece of energy way down in the south. By the time you're waking up Sunday morning to watch this, the snow will likely have fallen for you across portions of the south. This is what we're watching. This is our area of low pressure, and on the back side, there's going to be a brief changeover from rain to light and even maybe moderate snow at times across portions of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Again, these are areas that typically don't see snow. This is a pretty big deal and could bring some pretty big travel impacts, especially if we get some of these heavier bands of snow near the rain-snow transition line. But central Georgia, this is even 11 a.m. Sunday morning, we could be dealing with snow. Atlanta, you'll kind of be on the cusp of whether you see snow. You'll be a little too far north for some of the heavier accumulations, but it's really central Georgia. In this region right about here into parts of northern Florida, that's where the heaviest snow will be early Sunday morning. From there, our storm system will track to the northeast, and we actually have an area of low pressure that will be strengthening through the day. This is 5 p.m. on your Sunday, and we have heavy snow starting to develop in places like New York, all the way down into Delaware, New Jersey, Virginia, and especially along the coast, this is where some heavier snow could be. Moving into Sunday evening, the snow shifts to the northeast. New York, Boston, and Massachusetts, this area, some pretty heavy snow for you by 8 p.m. And then afterwards, this will continue moving northeast, and that batch of snow will clear. Here's a look at potential snow totals with this. This is just one model, so take this with a grain of salt. It won't be perfect, but across portions of the south, it's really central Georgia into a strip of Florida and Alabama. This is where we're looking at 1 to 3. Wow, this model is even saying as much as 5 to 6 inches of snow. I think a more reasonable estimate will be 1 to 3 inches, especially because the ground will be warm, so some of the snow will be melting. But definitely a higher end scenario could have isolated spots of higher than that. And for the south, this is pretty impactful. If you're anywhere in this region, definitely consider delaying travel if you can on your day Sunday, just to be aware of the snow threat. Tallahassee, y'all will kind of be on the edge of this in Florida, and Atlanta, y'all will kind of be on the edge also, but areas south of Atlanta, north of Tallahassee, that's where we're watching for some 1 to 3 inch snowfall accumulations. And then looking at the northeast, you can see portions of Delaware, the eastern seaboard, 1 to 3 inches of snow is possible. New York City will likely hover around 3 to 4 inches, fairly significant, but nothing too crazy for this time of year. It looks like portions of Massachusetts in the northeast near Boston will be the winners, we could have isolated totals of 6 inches up here. So be on the lookout for that. Some good snow is expected and on the way. Winter storm impact map, this highlights it pretty well. Moderate impacts are expected in central Georgia from the snow. And then for the northeast, just minor impacts. Nothing crazy, but definitely something to be mindful of. Alright, so we have this initial cold blast. We have a winter storm in the southeast and the northeast. After that though, looking in the future, the weather pattern just keeps on being cold for much of the central and eastern US. After this initial cold air mass pushes, we have this second push of cold air right here. This is on your day Monday. Even colder air will be coming into the north and the Midwest and eventually moving into the east. All along the east to the south, below average temperatures will continue. The west though, y'all will be staying warm all week long, well above average temperatures expected there. As we head into late week, the air mass will modify a little bit, some warmer air will mix in, but then as we head into next weekend, there are signs that even colder air is coming. I'll talk more about this long-term potential in a minute, but as that cold air mass filters, especially to the Midwest, the lake effect snow machines will really get cranking. So let's just take this model through the next few days to see the snow potential. Going later into today, we're gonna have a clipper system clip by portions of Minnesota. This will be mainly light snow, but definitely could bring a quick 1 to 2 inches of accumulation across Minnesota on Sunday. This will eventually pivot into Chicago and much of Michigan on your day Monday. What really sticks out is after this light clipper system passes, as cold air remains in place, the lake effect snow machines are really going to start ramping up. Take a look at areas like Buffalo right along the lakes, and then take a look at areas in western Michigan. If we just play this model, these areas just keep on getting hammered over and over again by snow. So this is starting on your day early Monday. I'm just going to play this onto Tuesday into Wednesday. We still have snow falling in these bands moving off the lakes, and that's going to bring some pretty incredible snowfall amounts. And we get another clipper system in midweek as that second batch of colder air comes, just reinforcing all of the snow. So a very snowy week in effect near the lakes and just for the Midwest in general, early to midweek. Look at some of these snowfall totals. This is pretty outrageous, but right along the lake, we could have some spots of a foot or more. This is the national blended models, and usually it's a pretty conservative forecast, but even still, some spots here could be seeing 2 feet of snow. This is very significant near Grand Rapids, and the other hotspot will be off of Lake Erie into portions of New York. We'll have a bullseye potentially here into near Oswego in northern New York, and then Buffalo, y'all will get hammered with a foot at least of snow. Some very heavy snow along the lake effect, and then for places like Chicago, Minneapolis, just in the general Midwest, a more general 1 to 3 broad brush of light snow is expected. So the final thing I wanted to go out on, this is a bit more of fantasy weather forecasting because it's a little too far to know for sure, but I did want to point out several of the longer range models are indicating an even colder blast of air as we end out the month of January. So it's been cold over the past few days. We can see all these blue blobs of air masses moving in. Late next week, maybe as early as next weekend though, look at this bitterly cold Arctic air. This is straight from the polar vortex itself. Some of these pink to white colors, that's 20 to 30, 35 degrees below average. And it's possible that this sweeps across much of the central and eastern US, bringing temperatures even colder than what we're seeing right now. Now, the caveat to this is over a week away, and anything beyond 5 days becomes more and more unreliable in the models. So don't focus on any one particular situation. This is not something set in stone. This is not for sure happening, but there has been enough of a signal in enough models to hint at the potential of much colder air coming next week and into next week. And with that much colder air, there could be the potential for a lot of energy as well with it, and that could bring a pretty big snow or ice storm. Now, look at this. The GFS model next Sunday, this is a monster of a storm bringing widespread snow. This purple color is sleet, this red color is freezing rain. This would be a massive cross-country storm system. We're not saying this is going to happen because look, just the next run of the model and that storm isn't there at all. Forecasting over a week away, it becomes very inconsistent. The bottom line to know here though is that the forecast is trending colder next weekend, and while the exact specifics are unknown, it does look like that winter is not over, and we'll be watching closely the model trends over the coming days. As we get more information, we'll update you. So not something to panic about, but definitely be paying attention to the weather because it's possible that some more impactful and even colder air is coming later on into January. So that's about it for the next week. Winter is really showing its presence. We had a really warm start to the month. The later half is definitely trending colder. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully if you're in the south, you're getting some snow and you'll be able to enjoy a rare snow day, and then watch out for some of that very cold air in the north with the sub-freezing wind chills and temperatures. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you later.